New York just elected one of the most dangerous men in America to run for mayor. This ain't a joke. This man just became the Democrat nominee for New York City. Ties to crime, economic sabotage, defends criminals, joined a communist group while applying for U.S. citizenship, which is illegal. This ain't a joke. This ain't old news, and this ain't history. This is actually happening right now. And if you think this stops with New York, you just ain't paying attention, y'all. Watch this.
Without the tariffs, I mean, they also liked a thing called November 5th, November 6th, and November 7th. That was a very good little period of time. It's called the presidential election. You know, you used to have one-day election. Now you have it go over it. But even if you just took that little period, because it was pretty obvious it was going to be a landslide. And they like that, but they love the tariffs. I had Texas Instruments come in the other day, big company, and he said, we're putting in $60 billion into new plants and new equipment, new everything. Sir, you're going to keep the tariffs, aren't you? Because whoever took the tariffs off, and we are going to absolutely keep it. And they're worried that somebody that, like this communist from New York, someday gets elected. I can't believe that's happening. That's a terrible thing for our country, by the way. He's a communist. We're going to go to a communistic state. That's so bad for New York. But the rest of the country is revolting against it. Without the tariffs.
Yeah, you heard that right. Even Trump looking around like, huh? How did this happen, y'all? And honestly, same. Because when you see what's behind this dude, it's all going to make sense.
He's talking about the Holy Land Five. In his rap song in 2017, he said, I'm in love with the Holy Land Five. So let's explain what the Holy Land Fives are. They are convicted criminals that have been convicted in 2008 for material support for Hamas. In 2001, the Holy Land Foundation was actually dismantled. In 2001, it was shut down. And in 2008, they were convicted. These 5 people were convicted for supporting Hamas. He is saying that he is in love with those people and asking you to look them up. So I say, absolutely look them up. That guy is so radical. He might be some sort of a Trojan horse, not just for Marxism, which is what he's actually saying, but for jihadism. He is supporting the concept of this. He refuses to acknowledge Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state. He's very coy about this, right? So when he goes on national television, he goes, well, yes, Israel has the right to exist. But when asked on the debate stage, do you think Israel has the right to exist as a Jewish state, he refuses to answer. This is a terrible news, not just for Jews, for every single American and everybody who supports Western values. It's horrible.
I'm in love with the Holy Land Five. Mind you, y'all, I don't know nothing about the depths of none of this. But apparently, it's a group convicted for funneling money illegally. So you telling me this is the guy New York chose? This definitely no rumor. This is definitely not a rumor. This ain't no theory. I want y'all to watch his own words. His own track, his own history. And as crazy as that is, we just getting started, y'all.
What is Sharia law have to do with this?
I'm denouncing them. I'm asking you.
I am running.
I know, but I'm like, that's the point. If you're going to run for mayor, you have to denounce it. You denounce that.
What is Sharia law?
I come from a political tradition Donald Trump describes as the enemy within. We came here to remake this state in the image of our people.
Sharia law.
What is Sharia law have to do with this?
I'm denouncing them. I'm asking you.
I am running.
I know, but I'm like, that's the point. If you're going to run for mayor, you have to denounce it. You denounce that.
What is Sharia law?
Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Thank you so much, brothers and sisters. Eid Mubarak. Thank you.
He said, what is Sahara law?
What is Sharia law?
Sharia law, I'm sorry. Look, I already messed it up. Hey, at least you know I'm human. But he did say we came to remake this state in the image of our people. So if I translate that, see, this is the problem. When somebody running for public office can't even answer the simple question about whether or not they stand on American values, it's pretty safe to say you already know the answer, right? Am I wrong? I mean, if you got to dodge, if you got to dance around the question, you already told me everything that I need to know. And guess what? Y'all know what usually follows that. It gets worse.
You're running for mayor?
Yes.
Isn't this not First Amendment activity, shutting down a business 3 weeks in a row? How many New York City businesses could tolerate to close their location 3 weeks in a row? This is an economic attack on Tesla. How can you sanction this? You will never be mayor. This is not the use of the First Amendment. This is, step away from me. Don't advance towards me like that. Yeah, you did. You just came up to me in a threatening manner and you're advancing towards me. Back up.
So he's defending shutting down the Tesla business. Calls it a First Amendment event. Shutting down a business, stopping people from working, hurting customers, and standing on it proudly like you just did something so heroic. I don't know. From what I'm seeing, y'all, he don't seem like he's for the people. He very much so seems like he's against them. And the crazy part, that's not even the worst part. I want y'all watch this next part.
Oftentimes, we've even found as legislators, when we go into these courts, the term violent crime is even used when people are stealing packages. Violent crime is even used when people are accused of burglary and there happens to be a housing unit in that same dwelling. So violence is an artificial construction. And we have to be very clear that what is happening here with these district attorneys, that is violence. That is violence of the highest degree. We have oftentimes, we've even found...
What in the... This man just said violence is an artificial construct. What? Violence is an artificial construct, my boy. Somebody tell that to the folks getting robbed, getting assaulted, getting carjacked, jumped on the way home. Tell it to them. See, it's this kind of thinking that destroys cities. And this man is one election away from running the biggest city in America. But hold up. You know what I'm about to say. If you know what I'm about to say, write it in the comments. I'm still going to say it. Can't even say it. It gets even crazier. This is not funny, but y'all get it.
We can cut to the chase, but obviously there was a really shocking Democratic primary in the city of New York. By the way, the great city of New York, and they've got their issues with liberal policies, and we could spend a whole episode on that. But this guy is a nut job, and so but as we look at, so he became a naturalized citizen, and so we sent a letter to Pam Bondi. So that's kind of where we're at. I'll let you queue up and whatever you want to do, and I can answer questions.
We have your letter. We have the mayor. We have Mr. Mayor. We have Mr. Mayor. Of course, Rudy Giuliani was a federal prosecutor. He just made a ton of news in the last interview saying you absolutely need to investigate this guy. You need to investigate him for his connections to terrorist organizations. If you're rapping about him, as your letter states,
that's right.
If you're rapping about helping Hamas and the guys who funded Hamas, who are in prison for funding Hamas, well, you got to at least be in favor of it. There's got to be something that you like about that. Maybe you can elucidate further for us what your office has found.
Well, so to give your viewers context, so like on your naturalization forms, there's a section on there where it talks about your activity in your alliances. And so we've continued to dig, the teams continue to dig. So we actually have breaking news for your show that, so he became a citizen, naturalized citizen in 2018. And so at the same time, he's filling out these forms to become a citizen, he's joining a communist group here in the United States. And so if we can go back and fill in the dots of when he was joining that group versus when he filled out that paperwork, it may very, very well disqualify him from being a citizen of the United States of America. That's why this is so important. And so what we're trying to do, even for some reason that he slips through the fingers, he slips through the cracks, and we can't get him, we're going to create a template where we can go after other radicals who come to this country, become a citizen, and quite frankly, they're a sleeper to undermine our government.
Let me run that back. While applying to become a U.S. citizen, this man was joining a communist group. That's a crime. Straight up. Anybody else? Citizenship denied. Locked up. But somehow, not only does he slip through, they hand him the key to New York City's Democrat nomination. Make that make sense to me, y'all.
If you have an undocumented baby, would that baby then be an enforcement priority?
The violent criminals in our country are the priority now. Let me put it in perspective. Today marked the 2,711th arrest in our country of TDA members. Just TDA. Everyone in this room agrees they are one of the most violent criminal organizations in the world. And the Biden administration let them walk into our country for the last 4 years. 2,711 of them today have been arrested in our country. That is the priority of Donald Trump. That is the priority of this country, of Homeland Security, of all of our lawyers, of FBI. That's the priority. That will be discussed in October when the Supreme Court hopefully rules in our favor, and we're very confident of that. But you should all feel safer now that President Trump can deport all of these gangs, and not one district court judge can think they're an emperor over this administration and his executive powers and why the people of the United States elected him.
Look at the difference, y'all. One side locking up criminals, cleaning the streets up, getting it all done. The other side, they trying to empty out the jails, defend criminals, and literally helping chaos run the streets, like aiding it for whatever reason. Now, this is what happens when leadership gets replaced with activism, okay? With criminal protection. Nonsense.
Some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore.
Ooh, let me dial this back, because Trump is about to talk about this SCOTUS victory.
Some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore. That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation. This was, in fact, it was the same date, the exact same date, the end of the Civil War. It was meant for the babies of slaves, and it's so clean and so obvious. But this lets us go there and finally win that case, because hundreds of thousands of people are pouring into our country under birthright citizenship, and it wasn't meant for that reason. Was meant for the babies of slaves. So thanks to this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with these numerous policies and those that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis, including birthright citizenship, ending sanctuary city funding, suspending refugee resettlement, freezing unnecessary funding, stopping federal taxpayers from paying for transgender surgeries, and numerous other priorities of the American people. We have so many of them. I have a whole list. I'm not going to bore you, and I'm going to have Pam get up and say a few words, but there's really, she can talk as long as she wants, because this is a very important decision.
Mm-hmm. Well, New York's out here spiraling. Look at what's happening on the other side, y'all. Actual policies, actual leadership, actually protecting the country. That's the big difference. One side is destroying, the other side is restoring. I don't know why I said that like that. Honestly, could not tell you. However, figure out why Trump said this like this.
By the way, so many questions. Should we keep this going, Pam? This is the opposite of Biden. Biden would take a half a question and he'd leave without answering it. You tell me when it gets boring. Okay? By the way.
The opposite of, man, I'm telling y'all, we are grateful to have this president, man. We don't deserve him. This right here, that's the energy, man. That's how leadership's supposed to sound. Straight, direct, no confusion, all right? You don't need nothing to be confused about. Listen, I don't care where you stand politically. All right, now. This is about whether or not we still got a country to stand for on law. In terms of law, rather. Law and order, common sense. Because this ain't leadership. This is a warning shot to us. And to New Yorkers, rather, more specifically, in some cases. And if folks don't wake up now, it won't stop in New York. I'm telling y'all, it's coming to your city. It's going to be in your neighborhood. Y'all be safe. Go check out somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.